The blue lights of Zalani Prime flickered as Veltar stared at his communication screen. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The peaceful alien had never heard such fear in a human voice before. "This is Kepler-4 to be mining colony. We are under attack. Vorthok ships everywhere. Please, someone help us." The voice belonged to Dr. Kim Hanna. Veltar knew her well. She was one of the human scientists who had come to study their distant mining world. Always calm, always smiling. But now, her voice shook with terror. Veltar's long fingers trembled as he played the message again. In the background, he could hear explosions, screaming, the sound of metal tearing apart. Administrator Zethelin, Veltar called across the crystal. "Chamber, you must hear this." Zethelin moved slowly toward the communication station. His tentacles swayed with worry. The Zalani were a peaceful people. They had never known war. They built beautiful cities and studied the stars. Violence was something they read about in history books. "Lay it," Zethelin whispered. The message filled the room with its desperate plea. 300 Zalani families lived on Kepler-4 to be. They mined special crystals that powered their ships. A small group of humans worked with them, learning about their culture and sharing their own knowledge. The Vorthok Zethelin said the name like a curse. Why would they attack a mining colony? Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Vorthok Dominion. They were monsters who conquered worlds and took prisoners as slaves. They destroyed entire civilizations. For profit, most species tried to avoid them completely. "Send messages to the Galactic Council," Zethelin ordered. "Tell them we need help. Offer the Vorthok anything they want. Money, mining rights, trade deals. Just save our people." Veltar sent the messages as fast as he could. Surely someone would help. The galaxy had laws about protecting innocent people. There were treaties and agreements, but the responses that came back made his heart sink. The Arcturus Federation sent a formal letter. "We are very concerned about this situation," it said. "However, we cannot risk our ships in that area of space." Hegemony of worlds was even worse. "Kepler-4 for 2b is outside our territory. This is not our problem." One by one, every major power in the galaxy said the same thing. They were sorry, but they would not help. Far away on Kepler-4, 4 to b. Engineer Park Jun watched death fall from the sky. The Vorthok warships looked like giant metal insects as they descended through the clouds. Their weapons lit up the colony's shields until they finally collapsed. Hannah June shouted over the noise of explosions. "Get to the emergency transmitter. Someone has to know what's happening here." Dr. Kim Hanna ran through the corridors of the research station. Her hands clutched the datapad containing years of work. Behind her, she could hear the Vorthok soldiers breaking through the walls. They spoke in harsh, growling voices that sent chills down her spine. She had always loved working with the Zalani. They were kind, curious people who welcomed humans like family. They shared their technology and their culture freely. Now they would all die because of that kindness. The emergency transmitter was hidden in the deepest part of the station. Hannah's fingers flew over the controls as she set up a quantum relay. If she could boost the signal through the deep space network, maybe it would reach Earth. The door behind her exploded inward. A Vorthok soldier stepped through the smoke, his armor black as space and covered in spikes. His weapon glowed with deadly energy. "Stop," the alien growled in broken galactic. Standard Hannah looked at the transmitter's activation key. One press would send her message across the galaxy. But would anyone care? Earth was so far away. Humans were still new to galactic politics. They had no big armies or powerful allies. The Vorthok soldier raised his weapon. Hannah pressed the key. The message exploded into space at the speed of light, racing through relay stations and deep space beacons. It carried with it the desperate cries of the innocent and the terrible sounds of a massacre. On Zalani Prime, Veltar watched his screen fill with silence. No more messages came from Kepler-4 for 2b. The colony had gone dark. Are they all dead? He whispered. Setalon stared at the tactical display showing Vorthok ships surrounding their mining world. The galaxy has abandoned them. 300 families, and no one cares enough to help. But somewhere in the depths of space, Hannah's message continued its journey toward a small blue planet that had remained strangely quiet in galactic affairs. A world where humans had learned hard lessons about standing up to bullies and protecting the innocent. The transmission would arrive in 6 hours. And when it did, everything would change. The galaxy was about to discover that some species do not abandon their own. Commander Gractyl stood on the bridge of his warship, looking down at the smoking ruins of the mining colony. His scarred face showed something like a smile. The attack had been even easier than expected. "Give me the numbers," he growled to his officer. 47 Zilani dead, sir. The rest are captured and ready for transport. But the humans... The officer paused. They fought back. We lost 3 soldiers before we could stun them. Gractyl's yellow eyes narrowed with interest. Humans were still new to the galaxy. Most aliens did not know much about them. They were smart traders. Others called them dangerous and unpredictable. The Vorthok scientists would pay good money for live human specimens. How many humans survived? 4, sir. All scientists. No soldiers among them. Good, keep them separate. From the others, I want to study them myself. Down in the colony's detention center, Dr. Kim Hanna knelt beside Engineer Park Jun. His leg was badly burned from a Vorthok energy weapon. The smell of burnt flesh filled the air, but he was still breathing. "Did your message work?" Jun whispered. Through gritted teeth, Hanna nodded. "Yes. I sent it through the Deep Space Network. Earth should get it in about 6 hours." Around them, Zilani families sat huddled together on the cold metal floor. Their blue-green skin had turned pale with fear. Children pressed close to their parents, too scared to cry. An old Zilani named Morthic crawled over to them. His movements were slow and painful. The Vorthok had beaten him when he tried to protect the children. "Your people," he whispered to. "Hannah, will they come to save us?" Hannah looked into his large, hopeful eyes and felt her heart break. "I don't know, Elder. Earth is very far away. We're just scientists, not soldiers or diplomats. I'm not sure anyone will think we're important enough to save." The heavy doors of the detention center crashed open. Vorthok soldiers marched in, their black armor clanking with each step. Behind them came technicians carrying scanning equipment. "Listen up, slaves," barked the lead soldier. "We're sorting you by value. Zilani, technicians to the left side, breeding pairs to the center. Humans come with us." The soldiers began grabbing prisoners and pushing them into groups. Families were torn apart. Parents reached desperately for their children as the Vorthok separated them. "No," screamed a Zilani mother as a soldier pulled her young son away. "Please, he's just a child." The soldier hit her with the back of his hand, sending her crashing to the floor. Her blue blood trickled from her mouth as she sobbed. When the soldiers reached the humans, they grabbed them roughly and dragged them toward the door. Hannah twisted around to look back at the Zilani families one last time. The children's eyes were wide with terror. These gentle people had welcomed humans to their world. They had shared their knowledge and treated them like family. Now they would die or live as slaves because the galaxy had decided they were not worth saving. The soldiers pushed the 4 humans down a long corridor. Their footsteps echoed off the metal walls. Finally, they reached a small white room with no windows. The door slammed shut behind them with a loud clang. Dr. Lee Minho, the linguist, sat down heavily on the floor. "Well, we're still alive." "Right." Something Dr. Young Sora, the geologist, laughed bitterly. "For how long? They're probably deciding which laboratory to sell us to." Jun leaned against the wall, his burned leg stretched out in front of him. "Minho's right, though. Oh, we're valuable to them because we're different. They've never captured humans before. So..." "What?" Sora snapped. "We're still prisoners, and no one is coming to help us." Through the walls, they could hear the sounds of destruction. Vorthok were taking apart the colony piece by piece. It would steal everything valuable and destroy the rest. Soon, there would be nothing left to show that peaceful Zilani families had once lived here. Hannah closed her eyes and tried not to think about what was happening to Morthic and the others. The old Zilani had asked if her people would come. She had told him she didn't know, but deep in her heart she was afraid she did know. Earth was far away. Humans were still small players in galactic politics. They had no great fleets or powerful allies. Why would they risk a war with the Vorthok Dominion to save a few scientists and some alien miners? Hours passed in silence. Outside in space, her quantum message continued racing toward Earth at the speed of light. It carried with it the desperate cries of the innocent and the terrible images of what happened when evil people believed no one would stop them. But Hannah did not know that Earth had been preparing for this moment for 50 years. She did not know that humans had a very different idea about protecting their own. The message would arrive soon, and when it did, the galaxy would learn what happened when someone hurt Earth's children. Lieutenant Choi, Dan was having a quiet day at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station Omega-7. He sat at his desk, checking reports about distant stars and planets. Nothing exciting ever happened at his job. Most days, he just watched empty space and filed paperwork. Then every alarm in the station started screaming at once. What the hell? Dayon jumped up from his chair. His computer screen flashed red with priority alerts. An encrypted message had just arrived from deep space. Commander Park, he shouted across the room. Need to see this right now. Commander Park Yoonji ran over to his station. She was a tough woman who had served in Earth's military for 20 years. Very few things could surprise her anymore. What is it, Lieutenant? Emergency transmission from the Kepler 44 to B system. It's bad, ma'am. Dayon pressed a button, and a holographic image appeared in the center of the room. Dr. Kim Hannah's face filled the display. Her usually neat hair was messy, and tears streaked down her cheeks. Red emergency lights flashed behind her. This is Dr. Kim Hannah, Kepler 44, to be research station. The recording began. We are under attack by Vorthok forces, the Zilani colony. They're killing civilians. The galaxy won't help us. If anyone receives this, please. We're not asking for ourselves. These people welcomed us. They don't deserve this. The image changed to show security camera footage from outside the research station. Vorthok soldiers in black armor were shooting defenseless Zilani civilians. Families ran screaming as their homes exploded. Children cried for their parents as they were torn apart. Commander Park's face went pale. She had seen war before, but this was something else. This was pure evil. Get me Admiral Kim Tae-young at Terra Command, she ordered. Priority 1, right now. Dayon's fingers flew over his keyboard. Within minutes, the Admiral's face appeared on the screen. Kim Tae-young was a legend in Earth's military. It fought in 3 wars and never lost a battle. Commander Park. What's the emergency? Sir, we just received this transmission from Kepler 44 to B. You need to see it. Park replayed the message. Admiral watched in silence as Dr. Hannah begged for help. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes grew colder with each passing second. When the footage of murdered Zilani families began, his jaw tightened like a steel trap. How long ago did this happen? He asked quietly. The message took 6 hours to reach us, sir. This attack is happening right now. Admiral Kim closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them again, they burned with a fire that made both officers take a step back. Get me a secure line to Geneva. I need to speak with the Joint Chiefs immediately. Within an hour, Earth's most powerful military leaders were gathered in the underground war room beneath Geneva. The message from Kepler 44 to be played on the main screen, while generals and admirals watched in stunned silence. Gentlemen, ladies, Admiral Kim began, his voice deadly calm. For 50 years, we've played by the galaxy's rules. We've been patient. We've been diplomatic. We've tried not to upset anyone. He gestured to the screen, showing Vorthok soldiers loading Zilani children onto slave ships. This is what happens when good people do nothing. This is what happens when monsters think no one will stop them. General Lee Yuna, head of Earth's Marine Corps, leaned forward. Sir, our intelligence says the Vorthok Dominion controls over 40 star systems. They have thousands of ships. We'd be outnumbered 10 to 1. Admiral Kim's smile was cold as winter. Numbers don't win wars, General. Will does. And right now, I'm questioning whether we've forgotten how to fight. The room fell silent. These were men and women who had spent their careers preparing for war. But they had always imagined fighting other humans, not alien empires that enslaved entire worlds. Kim Hannah, the admiral continued, reading from a file. 34 years old. Lost her parents in the Mars colony disaster when she was 12. Never married, no children. Spent her whole life trying to understand alien cultures and build bridges between species. He closed the file and looked around. The room, she's one of ours. They all are. And so are the Zilani, who welcomed them with open arms. The silence stretched for long minutes. Finally, General Yuna spoke. What are you proposing, sir? I'm proposing we remind the galaxy why humans survived ice ages, world wars, and the journey to the stars. I'm proposing we show them what happens. When you heard our people, the vote was unanimous. As the meeting ended, Admiral Kim remained in the war room, staring at the tactical display. Red dots marked Vorthok positions throughout their empire. Blue dots showed Earth's fleets scattered. Across human space, computer, show me our available forces. The display changed to show Earth's military strength. Smaller numbers than the enemy, but each ship represented decades of human innovation and the hard lessons learned from centuries of warfare. Admiral, his aide approached carefully. The Galactic Council is requesting a meeting. They want to discuss appropriate diplomatic responses to the Kepler 44b situation. Kim's laugh was sharp as broken glass. Tell them we're busy. And, Lieutenant? Yes, sir. Send a message to all fleet commanders. Operation Thunderstorm begins in 72 hours. We're going to war. As Earth's military machine began to wake, up the galaxy continued its debates and meetings. Unaware that they had just witnessed the end of humanity's patience, Commander Greigtool was reading reports about his new slaves. When his communications officer ran into the command room, the officer's scales were white with fear. Sir, ships are coming out of hyperspace. Lots of them. Greigtool looked up from his desk. Could be stupid enough to challenge the Vorthok Dominion. The Zilani had no warships. The galactic powers had already made it clear they would not help this worthless mining colony. How many ships? He asked. 47, sir. But they single. Right. Strange. We don't have them in our databases. I've never seen ships like these before. Greigtool walked to the main screen. What he saw made him pause. The ships were dark and angular, like metal sharks built for killing. They moved in perfect formation around Kepler 44b. Unlike most galactic ships that gleamed with polished metal, these vessels seemed to eat light itself. What species builds ships like that? He muttered before his officer could answer a transmission. Came across all frequencies. The voice was calm and cold. This is Admiral Kim Tae-young of the Terran Defense Fleet. You are occupying a world under Earth's protection. You have 30 seconds to begin releasing all prisoners and withdrawing your forces. Greigtool stared at the screen in shock. Humans. The little pink creatures who had only recently joined the galactic community? They thought they could threaten the mighty Vorthok Dominion? Open a channel, he snarled. The main screen flickered, showing the bridge of the lead human ship. Admiral Kim sat in his command chair like a king on his throne. His eyes were cold as winter stars. This is Commander Greigtool of the Vorthok Dominion, Greigtool growled. You are interfering with a legitimate military operation. These slaves are property of the Dominion. Leave now or we will destroy you. Admiral Kim's expression did not change. You've had your warning, Commander. The transmission ended. Sir, the communications officer said nervously. They're not. Responding to our threats? What should we do? Grak_Tool laughed. What should we do? We teach these humans why the Vorthok ruled this part of space. All ships attack formation. Let's show them what real warriors can do. But before the Vorthok ships could move, the humans struck. The attack came like lightning. Human ships moved with a speed and precision that caught the garrison completely. Off guard. Missiles poured from their launch tubes in endless streams. Point defense. Stop those missiles. Greigtool shouted. But the Vorthok defense systems were designed to stop the energy weapons that most galactic species used. The humans were firing something completely different. Heavy metal projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds by magnetic fields. The Vorthok shields, built to deflect laser beams and plasma bolts, crumpled like paper under the kinetic impact. "Sir, our shields are failing. These weapons. They're primitive but incredibly effective." The first Vorthok ship exploded in a ball of fire. Then another. The humans had studied galactic warfare for decades and found its weakness. Everyone in the galaxy used the same advanced energy weapons and defense systems. But humans had approached the problem differently. "Return fire," Gretel screamed. The Vorthok ships fired their plasma cannons at the human fleet. But the Earth ships moved like dancers, twisting and turning to avoid the incoming fire. Their formations flowed like water, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted effectively. Down in the colony's detention center, Dr. Kim Hannah pressed her face to the small window. The sky above was full of explosions and flashing lights. Vorthok guards ran past the cells, shouting orders in their harsh language. "Those are Earth ships," she whispered. Engineer Park Jun limped over to look. His burned leg made every step painful, but he had to see. "But how Earth doesn't have a fleet out here? We're too far from home." Dr. Lee Minho joined them at the PHS window. "They came for us." Someone actually came. Outside, the battle raged with incredible fury. The Vorthok had more ships, but the humans fought with a desperate creativity that their enemies had never seen before. Earth's captains used tactics that seemed to come from the nightmares of military planners. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Kim watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. Status report. 15 enemy ships destroyed, sir. We've lost 2 frigates. The Vorthok are trying to regroup. Don't let them reattack. I want every enemy ship disabled or destroyed. The communications officer looked up from his station. Sir. Vorthok commander is requesting to talk. Admiral Kim's smile was sharp as a knife. Put him through. Commander Grechtel's S-image appeared on the screen. His earlier confidence was gone, replaced by fear and rage. "Enough, I will kill every prisoner if you don't stop immediately." Admiral Kim's voice remained perfectly calm. "Commander, my Marines will reach your facility in exactly 12 minutes. If any prisoner is harmed, I will personally make sure your death is neither quick nor pleasant." The transmission cut off. Admiral Kim turned to his tactical officer. "Major Jung Haiwan, are your Marines ready?" "Yes, sir. Drop pods loaded and ready to launch. Then let's bring our people home." The Vorthok had never faced an enemy like humanity. As Terran Marines stormed the colony in their advanced armor, cutting through Vorthok defenses like a hot knife through butter, the garrison realized they had awakened something far more dangerous than they ever imagined. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, the Vorthok garrison was nothing but burning wreckage, and Earth had announced its arrival on the galactic stage. Dr. Kim Hannah stood among the broken equipment and scattered papers of what used to be her laboratory. Earth Medical. Teams moved carefully around the room, treating wounded Zilani with gentle hands. She watched a human medic bandaging a young Zilani child's arm, speaking softly in the alien's own language. "We came as fast as we could," Anna turned to see Admiral Kim Tyone walking toward her. His uniform was dusty from the battle, and his face looked tired, but his eyes were kind. "Admiral," she said, not knowing what else to say. We never expected anyone to come, especially not Earth." Kim stopped in front of her. "Need to apologize. We should have been here sooner. We should have been watching over our people better." Hannah shook her head quickly. "Sir, nobody expected you to come at all. The Galactic Council said it would be too dangerous. All the major powers said this system wasn't worth fighting for. That's where they made their biggest mistake," Kim replied, his voice quiet but firm. "They looked at numbers on a screen, ships, money, trade routes. They forgot that some things can't be measured that way." Across the room, Elder Morthic slowly walked toward them. The old Zilani's blue-green skin was covered with bruises from his time as a prisoner. His movements were painful, but he held his head high with dignity. "Admiral Kim," the elder said in careful galactic standard, "my people, we can never repay what you have done for us. But we will remember this day always. We'll remember that humans came when no one else would." Kim placed a gentle hand on the elder's thin shoulder. Elder Morthic, there's no debt between friends. Your people welcomed our scientists like family. That makes you family too. The elder's large eyes filled with tears. But I must tell you something, Admiral. The other powers will not be happy. About what you did here, they will say you broke their rules. Kim's expression hardened. Let them complain. They had their chance to do the right thing. They chose to look away. Admiral Hannah said carefully, "What happens now? The Vorthok will want revenge for what we did to their fleet." Kim was quiet for a moment, looking around the ruined laboratory. Through the broken windows, he could see Earth ships patrolling. The sky, in the distance, Vorthok wreckage still burned. "Doctor, I need you to understand something. This isn't over. The Vorthok Dominion controls 43 star systems. They have enslaved dozens of different species. What we did here today was just the beginning." Hannah felt a chill run down her spine. Beginning of what? The Vorthok think they can take whatever they want because no one will stop them. They're used to fighting species that follow galactic rules about appropriate force and proportional response. But humans learned a long time ago that some enemies only understand one language. Elder Morthic looked confused. "What language is that, Admiral?" Kim's smile was cold as space. Overwhelming violence applied without mercy. Over the next few weeks, the galaxy watched in shock as Earth's fleets moved through Vorthok space like an unstoppable storm. The humans didn't fight the way other species did. They didn't follow the accepted rules of galactic warfare. When the Vorthok tried to use slave populations as human shields, Earth forces found ways to liberate the slaves. While destroying their captors, when Vorthok commanders threatened to execute prisoners, human special forces appeared as if from nowhere to rescue them first. The Galactic Council sent angry messages demanding that Earth stop its aggressive expansion.
I'll get you.
The major powers threatened economic sanctions and diplomatic isolation. Admiral Kim read their complaints from his flagship as it orbited another liberated world. "Tell them we're too busy to talk right now," he told his communications officer. "They're demanding we attend an emergency session to explain our actions." Kim looked out at the freed slaves celebrating in the streets below. Former Vorthok prisoners were burning their chains and singing songs of freedom in a dozen different languages. "They want an explanation?" Kim said. "Here's their explanation. We're doing the job they should have done years ago." The war lasted 6 months. It's ended not with a great final battle, but with the quiet surrender of the last Vorthok stronghold. The Dominion's leaders, faced with complete destruction, chose exile over death. Their remaining fleets fled to the galaxy's edge, carrying with them the knowledge that the small blue planet had become something to fear. A year later, Dr. Kim Hannah stood on the observation deck of the New Earth Embassy on Zalani Prime, through the crystal walls. She could see construction teams building a joint research facility where humans and Zalani would work together as equals. "The galaxy is different now," she said to Engineer Park Jun, who had stayed to help with the rebuilding. "Better or worse?" Hannah thought about it. The Galactic Council now treated Earth as a major power. Former slave species across dozens of worlds flew flags of freedom. Major powers were more careful about their actions, knowing that someone was finally watching. "More honest," she said finally. For the first time, it's honest. Above them, Earth patrol ships moved silently through space. A reminder to anyone who might forget the lesson of Kepler 442b. The galaxy had learned that some species don't abandon their own, and they never would again.